All right. Thanks for joining. This is Evening Crypto with your boy, your host, the Real Shot 256. Tonight, I'm just going to make it really easy for all of you. We're just going to talk about the charts. That is it. No news to really talk about. I mean, there's plenty of news. You can go on pretty much any crypto handle and read about the news. Nothing really noteworthy going on in regards to that. So I really just want to spend my energy and time here with you guys just talking about the charts. Even with that, there hasn't been a whole lot happening really, but I do think we should do a little bit of a an update uh, versus our past or last video. So let's go ahead and dive in. Let's do the usual intro. We're trading at, guess what, above $200 billion again. We had not seen that number tick under since back in May 2011. We're back over $200 billion, and our trading volume is sitting at $62 billion. So a nice little uptick from just a couple of days ago. And Bitcoin dominance did take just a slight bit upwards. Nothing to really be crazy about, though. We're still in a 66th percentile. I mean, a little bit of positive price action in the last 24 hours, something that just give us a little bit of cheer to really talk about. And as we start to get or head into the holidays, if you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever, this is it's a nice little perk that we are enjoying right now. I mean, 2 or 3% is not too shabby, I guess, but also not something to get wild and crazy about just yet. But it is green nonetheless, and we got to be thankful for that. So let's get right into the charts. Let's get rid of all this junk, and let's start talking some Bitcoin charts and updates here. So let's get serious now, guys. Let's see. We're sitting at 7,400. I did tweet out this sort of update. When was this? 20 hours ago, almost 24 hours ago, late night yesterday. And basically, what I was referring to is, the sort of the lack of volume. I mean, look at for the last few, let's call this 8 hours, as we did look at the 8 hour or 4 hour chart. Just the volume was underneath the exponential there, and just letting us know that there's not a lot of action, not really anything to raise an eyebrow at, because I mean, there's just hasn't been any sort of buying or selling volume at all. Just kind of been consolidating here and playing sideways. Nothing really, again, to be too excited about. Although I will say this, I was talking about this maybe possibly being sort of a like a sort of a hunchback, like a hunchback, more like a hunchback head and shoulders. I don't know why I got stuck there, but yeah, it just looked kind of weird, like a shrugged left shoulder and a tilted right shoulder. It really wasn't, looking too good. Also, the volume signature wasn't really playing into that as well. So, I mean, it kind of sort of gave us a fake signal that could be possible, and then that would have been that would have meant that we certainly would have at least retested beneath this previous pivot here, the we'll call it the right shoulder of this inverse head and shoulder, and quite possibly go below that, since we did see this big move. I mean, that would have been the measured move right from that point. And then from this point, yeah, I mean, just a perfect textbook play there, where it would have come down to retest this previous area of descending support here, but it did not. So that whole thing is invalidated. I don't think we are anywhere near having a possibility of playing any sort of head and shoulders off of this right here. So the other thing I was mentioning on this tweet was, we were testing 7,400, but it proved to be too much. Once we were up here, there was not enough support to keep the price action above 7,400 into the 7,500s, and we came right back down. Same thing here. 7,400 again. We try to get up above it. We wicked way up high, squeezed some people out of their short positions, and then came right back down and gave it all back almost in one move. almost gave it all back. We didn't quite give it, as we did, retrace quite a bit, but not, we didn't give it all back. That's what I'm trying to say. And we are currently just, grinding ourselves upwards with not a whole lot of buying volume. Not a whole lot of buying volume. There is no divergence here on the 4 hours. I mean, everything's looking pretty much to textbook. Nothing to really be alerted about. We are going to come into the retest of the 21 EMA here within the stochastic RSI. So that is an important area. As we do see here, we are sort of being tamed by this 21 here in the RSI. And if we bring our EMAs here, let's actually try to zoom in here. We are getting above a lot of these major and mostly EMAs. The 55, which is a great, a really good one to really pay attention to, the 55. Then we are also above the not only the 21 and the 30 simple, 21 EMA, 30 simple here, which is always a good sign. Once we get above the 21, we like to keep it to sort of indicate that, okay, we're sort of turning around our biases in the short term of things. And we do see clearly here that we are above the 21, so that is sort of a short-term good signal, positive signal. And now we've actually taken the 200 SMA, and so if we get a close above that 200 SMA here in the next 4 hours and start opening and closing, so 4 hours above it, I am going to start raising an eyebrow at this and just kind of be looking at it with look at it with a big eye, and maybe a reading glass, because that's going to be an important milestone. So definitely want to look out for that. If you guys are looking at this chart, keep a little sticky note around your maybe monitor, around your keyboard, because that is a pretty big indicator, the 200 SMA. And again, if we are to open and close some 4-hour candles at least above it, again, that could be a shift indicator. We also have the 89 EMA coming in right on top of it, and that's going to obviously act as resistance. We also have this previous pivot here coming in as confluence there as well. So it is going to be a high point of contention. If we can break above it, then we are going to have this previous pretty significant pivot high up here from let's call this November 19th. That is going to be another point of significance. Again, almost coming in confluence with a 200. Again, another point of contention there. So this again, here's step one: is can we close some candles above the 200 SMA? If we do, we can possibly talk about retesting $7,800. If we do well there, start opening and closing some 4-hour candles above the $7,800 mark. That's step number 2. And then step number 3 will be 78.87. That's where the 200 is coming in at. Now, as long as this price action does remain here on the lower end of 7,000, this 200 is going to come down and adjust and try to meet the price. So we expect this to actually come back down in the next couple of days and start building more confluence and even a tougher resistance pool here at around 7,800, right? So once these two start to meet up, again, that's going to be a point of heavy contention. If Bitcoin can break above that, then we start to get excited. That's when shit really gets interesting. At this point, there's really not much to get excited about. Sorry, guys. Again, I guess a precursor to that would be if we can break above the 21 EMA here within the stochastic, and then we can talk about the 89. We can talk about this previous pivot high here, and then the 200. And not until we break that, we don't want to talk about the 3770. Let's not get too excited yet. All right. So and that sort of comes into the equation now, because we've seen this gradual slow uptake within the 4-hour chart, where we are starting to turn things around. Again, we're above the the 30 simple, the 21 EMA. Those are good indicators, and we're doing a pretty good job. I mean, I wouldn't say I don't want to give it too much credit because then I might jinx it also. But we're definitely retesting the 200 EMA here as we do see here for the time being. In the last month or so, the 200 SMA has definitely shown to be a force to be reckoned with, and has just been pushing the price downward on every try. So try here, down, try here, way down, try here, down, way down. So we'll see how we react to it this time. Hopefully we have enough buyers to come in here and start consolidating above the 200 SMA and above 74.50. If we can do that again, let's start looking at the next steps. But as of right now, we're still on standby. All right, so let's actually look at the daily, see what the daily is telling us. See if there's anything to be excited about there. Let's actually shrink this a bit, make it fit the screen. And let's actually give it a little more room here on this side. It's all the room I can give. Okay, all right. So, yeah, so here's the other thing on the daily, right? We're just getting above the 30 simple here. We're actually right at it right now. If we can close this daily candle, we closed this daily candle above 71.50. That was a huge indicator for me. If we didn't get a close above the 71.50 on this daily candle, we certainly were looking at coming back down to retest, say about 6,600 or so. But we didn't. We actually ended up closing this daily candle at 73.89, which was way above. Well, not way above, but about we'll call it $239 above 150, and so that was a good positive sign that we could potentially find some more room to the upside. We're playing the 30 right now. Again, on the daily, this should not act as too heavy of resistance. We should be able to get above the 30 on a daily. If we don't, again, then that's going to be an even bigger indicator than, say, the 4 hour. As we do go back and look at the 4 hour, I am looking at the daily to kind of trump what the 4 hour is dictating. Kind of rhymed. So right now it does look like a clear rejection of the 30 simple. So another reason to not get overly excited at this present time. We just opened up this daily here about 2 hours ago, so there's plenty of work to be done here. Plenty of work to be done. I mean, there's still about 22 hours left in this new daily candle, so we'll see where price action leads us. If we end up getting tamed by this 30 here, it's not going to be a good sign, and just indicated that we are to maybe come back down to hopefully 71.50 and not below. Hopefully 71.50, not below. So if you set yourself a reminder or sort of a sticky note there, that 71.50 is that crucial area of support, then leave that on there, because again, if we break down to the downside, that could mean that we are possibly going to come back and read that 66, 67, maybe 6,800. There's quite a bit of support at 6,800, so that'll be the very next point of support. And then after 6,800, we might come back down to the $6,600, $6,500 range, and we'll see what happens from there. I mean, a retest of this descending line of support is definitely in the cards at that point, and we are to await a bounce off of that area. Not a bad place to enter a long position, as we did see here. Every time we've actually come back down to retest this descending line of support once, and nice short or nice long from there, nice long from anywhere down here, nice long from this point pivot low here, nice long from this wick here. Again, if we come back down, this could be a good area to place your longs at, around 65, 66, 67, even 6,800. But that's again, if we break down and cannot get above the 30 simple here on a daily. All right, so watch out for that. We will get our answer by tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific. or 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, US. All right, let's look at the weekly. There are those who are saying that we should break down below and come back and retest 5,500. I'm not really siding with those folks at this point, and I'll tell you why. There is going to be a huge amount of support at these levels here around 63, 64, 6,500, even 6,600. There's just going to be a huge amount of support. I mean, if we go back to 2018, where we were sort of building and consolidating here before this nasty drop off to the ultimate low at 3,100. I mean, we were building plenty of consolidation support here. So I don't think that we're just going to skip on through 66, 65, even 6,300, 6,200 even, because again, there's just plenty of support from back here. Let's just highlight it here real quick. Don't pay attention to this. It doesn't mean anything. It just, just want to highlight this price action here where we built a very strong base. So again, I don't want to talk about going to 55 or 5,000s, anywhere in the 5,000s, because again, we have to break through this massive node of support here between the low 6,000s and mid 6,000s. Okay. So not into that conversation as of now. So let's look at the weekly. Weekly still within the bear control zone, not really looking to make any moves to the upside. I mean, by just giving it a simple glance, it does look like it has more room to the downside. But here's the big but. We are actually we just opened a weekly candle above. I mean, we didn't just open it, but so far the price action is sitting on top of this 200 SMA within the weekly. It is nice to look at and actually see that we are finding support above the 200, and it kind of goes back to support our thesis on the 4-hour. That the 4-hour and the weekly are sort of in convergence. I know there's a huge amount of just time lapse in between. So not gonna say that one's talking to the other or anything like that. But there is a little bit of confluence there in the 4-hour. The 4-hour is letting us know that hey, there might be something to really be hopeful and just keep our eyes on. So as the weekly, it's saying the same sort of thing. Okay, so that's all I'm trying to say. Weekly and the 4-hour are giving us positive signs. So if we can build on this from a weekly perspective, our next weekly candle will be this weekly candle will be closing at 5 p.m. on Sunday. This coming Sunday here in the U.S., 8 p.m. Pacific, Eastern Standard Time. So that'll be, again, if we are to close this weekly candle above the 200, then that'll be a great sign. That'll be a great sign to look forward and hopefully close the year out on a good positive note. But again, as I was mentioning in my last video, is very likely, we are due for a retest of this previous, or not previous, but this descending line of resistance. We are due for a retest of it. In my opinion, I do think at some point, maybe before the end of the year, we should see Bitcoin going up to retest this line of descending support. Okay. And also, I'm also kind of hopeful that, this could be this wick down here to, we're going to call it 65.15, could be the low, the medium term low here off of this yearly high. So hopefully this will be the low of this yearly high, and we start to gradually work our way up. See how we, week by week, we started setting these green positive candles to eventually lead to this breakout, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 massive green candles, right? So, I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen here, but I mean, sort of how we did sort of a rounded bottom and worked our way up. this could potentially be the same. That's what I'm hoping, but you know, it's sort of wishful thinking. There's nothing really in the cards so far that is letting us know or telling us that could actually happen. I'm just kind of babbling on here. All right, so from a long-term perspective, we'll touch upon this real briefly. Again, another reason to be really skeptical of anybody saying we're going to 5,000, because there's a huge area again where this descending line of support is coming in, and where this ascending line of support going back to several years back. You know, there's that big line of support coming in here, this big trend line that it should offer plenty of support. And again, as long as we're within this range, this 200 should also come up and start or get closer to meeting with the apex there at the bottom of this formation here, hopefully end of this trend, end of this descending channel trend, and start to round things off here and start, you know, moving upwards. So if this plays true, again, this also means that we are going to come back and retest the bottom of 6,000, where this big area of support is coming in at. Again, that is in confluence with this point and this previous consolidation period that took quite a bit of time. I mean, look at this low here from June 25th all the way to November 18th, right? And that's where we got the decisive move to the downside and found the bottom, right? So again, it took a long time to build this, so you bet it's going to act as plenty of support, which is also in confluence with this apex down here, where we again might find plenty of support to actually lead the price action on an upward trend again, right? And then we can start talking about 2020 highs, which also, you know, reminds me, you know, we could potentially round this off and start working our way up here into the halvening, right? Some people have recently said that the halvening is oversold and that it's overhyped, and we should not expect any significant moves for the future of Bitcoin. Well, that is, you know, neither here nor there. It does remain to be seen. We'll just have to wait till we get there. We can't really talk about that until we actually get there, right? But again, the weekly, there's still plenty of room to the downside. So I mean, we could again potentially come back and have hopefully our long-term or medium to long-term bottom right where the cursor is at around 61, 6,200. All right. Enough of that. Let's actually get into a couple alts here worth mentioning. Let's actually talk about Link. Let's get to the daily. I am a little worried about Link, although we did find support here at the 200. That is a huge indicator, long-term indicator here for Link. If we do break down below it, you bet we are probably going to come back and retest, quite potentially retest 145. But you know, so far at this point, we just opened up this new daily and it's looking pretty good. We definitely want to see continuation there. That is one that I'm keeping my eyes on. Hopefully we'll have a positive reaction again and have a nice bounce off of the 200. And certainly we'll find some resistance here at 2.44. We're still a long ways from that. Link has got a lot of work to do if it wants to get back to 244. All right, so that is on the daily. Daily looks pretty bottomy. That's not a word, but it looks like it found a bottom here. Really what I'm trying to get at. It does look very much beaten up. Last time we touched bottom was back in August 31st of this year, and it looks pretty bottomy. Again, don't want to say that, hey guys, we're going to definitely go up from here, because the RSI is in the oversold position, which is a myth. There is no such thing as oversold or overbought. Not a big fan of those terms. But it just really does look like it's either found a bottom or is really close to actually finding a bottom. And then once we do, just a reminder of what Link is capable of. You know, hopefully we can see Link in a better posture than we are seeing at the current moment. Double bottom. Could potentially be a double. It's the daily. Yeah, it looks like an elongated, consolidative double bottom here. Not as sharp as I'd like to see it, but it could potentially be a double bottom here. Let's look at the weekly. See what the weekly offers. I know it does not look like a double bottom. I mean, it just looks like a plain retest of this low here. Beneath the 200 SMA here, it is BNB, so there's less price history here. So you know, we don't have all of our EMAs here, but we'll work with what we've got here for the time being. And let's see. Well, it's too early to tell or call it even a double bottom here. We still have plenty of time to assess this and see. But you know, so far from the daily standpoint, does look like it could potentially be a double bottom. So we'll see from here. We still have plenty of work to do. If we can continue on up and break above, say, 1625, if we break above that and actually get above the 21, then that'll be a good positive sign that could potentially be a short-term double bottom here, and that we are on our way to a nice bounce. All right, so that's BNB. I'll just do a couple more. VAT was pretty interesting. I did call sort of the top here, and I did tell you guys that we were probably going to come back and retest this previous area here, but not really quite get to it. That seemed to be the case, and we did retest again. Doesn't look like a retest, but it looks like, you know, from a 4-hour perspective, does paint the picture, clearer picture. Yeah, we just didn't get back. We just didn't have enough to really retest this here. And now it looks to be consolidating here above the 55. This actually looks pretty good still. As long as we keep bouncing off the 55, I do think there's more opportunity here with VeChain. So keep your eyes on that one. Again, I do think we are going to find sort of this trend here, descending line of resistance here. We could come back and retest, but again, I think it's going to set another lower high. If it does break this, though, it could potentially be another breakout. But at this point, with the current state of the market is, you know, everything's looking pretty exhausted. Not a whole lot of volume, not a whole lot of people pumping the bags. So I'm not expecting this to actually break out, right? Because this pivot high here are representative of plenty of resistance there, and I just don't know if VeChain or any other alt really has it in them to have a significant breakout. So we'll leave it at that. RSI is actually also looking like it wants to bounce, and quite possibly, again, maybe too early, but let's pay attention to this because it does look like it could bottom out here and actually have another retest. All right. So and we'll just leave it with this here, but it does look like another almost 9%, almost 10% trade there. That's not too bad. All right, guys, so I'll leave it at that. Hopefully you got something in exchange for your time here. I really appreciate you guys being here. Please go ahead and remember to hit the subscribe button, and also hit the bell notification so that you do get notified when I do put out more content. So thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it, and we'll see you guys on the next one.